pair of peregrines first nested at Malham Cove, as far as we're aware, in 1993. Settled on the cove knowing that there's lots of people about, so that original pair were really tolerant of people and disturbance, and we're happy to settle on a site like this. There are a lot of people, we get lots of people coming to Malham, and one of the things we wanted to do is try and highlight peregrines, the importance of raptors, and just to show people just how special these fantastic birds are. So since 2003, the Yorkshire Dales National Park Authority have teamed up with the RSPB to run a Malham Peregrine Project, where we come each year here at the Cove, set some telescopes up. We've got a really dedicated team of volunteers from both organisations, and we show people the birds. And the response we get is absolutely fantastic. We've been doing it 20 years now, and you know, it never wears off. One of the real special things for us, and why we think it's really important, is because we get a lot of people coming to Malham who aren't bird watchers. They might have seen Spring Watch or things like that, but they're not bird watchers. They don't necessarily know the birds are here, and we can show them. And one of the things that's really great when you're here, when the viewpoint's open, is you can say to people, you know, do you want to see a peregrine? And they can say, well, yeah, okay, then. Oh, wow, look at that, it's fantastic. And, you know, we call it here at the project the wow factor, the Malham wow factor, that it's so great to see people of all ages, young kids, parents, grandparents, all having the same impact when they see the birds and going away saying, you know, you've made my day, it's really great to see these birds. So one of the reasons we want to do this project from the National Park Authority's point of view and working with the RSPB is that we can show people just how special these birds are. And when you've got a site like Malham Cove and a spectacular bird like the peregrine falcon, you know, we really got a chance to show people how special and how important these birds are. So from a peregrine point of view, they want somewhere safe to nest. So one of the few predators for peregrines, natural predators, is ground predators like foxes and stoats. So peregrines like to nest high up on a crag. So you've got a fantastic crag in the background here, Malham Cove. You can't get better than that, where they're safe from these sort of predators. They also like to have a good view out, so they can look for other birds intruding, peregrines or another bird of prey, and also to look out for food. And you know, you cannot get a better place. Perched up here, you've got a spectacular view down the Aire Valley, you know, right across Malham. A high site like this, safe from predators. From a peregrine point of view, this is as good as it gets from a nest site. They'll pair for life, so we don't know how long they live. They might live 5-6 years, something like that. Well, the Malham birds are fairly regular. They'll go down on eggs last few days of March, first few days of April most years, and that seems fairly regular, you know, since we've been monitoring them here. They'll incubate, so the female will sit tight, do most of the incubation. She'll sit tight for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. Then the male will come in to feed her, so he'll bring food in, he'll call her off the nest. So if you're really lucky when you stood here, you'll hear the peregrine call, you'll see the male flying with food, and the female will come out to meet him, and they do this fantastic food pass where the female will fly underneath the male, turn upside down, and either take the prey or he'll drop it into her talons. She'll go off and feed, fly around, have a wing stretch. Sometimes it's interesting each year and the different birds. Sometimes occasionally the male will go on and incubate the eggs. We think it seems more likely when they're a well-established pair. Sometimes it doesn't, but the female will very quickly, once she's fed, she'll go back on. Her main role is to do the incubation, and she'll just sit there for another, you know, 3-4 hours at a time. So that'll go around about a month, give or take, depending on the situation. So again at Malham, they go down on eggs last few days of March, first few days of April. That means the chicks will hatch about a month later. So end of April, early May, we'll look for the first signs of the birds having chicks. So one of the things we look for is the female won't feed on the nest when she's got eggs. She'll always fly off and feed away from the nest. From here, the nest is often obscured, so you can't see it, but you're looking for that telltale sign of her taking the food in, and then you know there's at least one chick there that needs to be fed. The chicks will, till fledging, there'll be some differences because the males are smaller than the females, and they will hatch at different times, you know, days apart. So you can have quite a difference in chick size. So if you have a male that's a chick that's hatched first, and then a female that might be the third egg that hatches, and generally speaking, they're a third bigger than the male, so they take a lot longer to actually get to full fledging size. You can have quite a big difference, you know, when the birds are young. But give or take a month, they'll be leaving the nest, they'll start flying around, and that's when you really get some spectacular sights here at the Cove. When the young are learning to fly, they're honing the skills, they're chasing each other, harassing jackdaws, and it is a real spectacular sight to watch them. So what we'll often get is sometimes the young, a bit like us really, some of the young leave straight away, really confident, they fly off, to look after themselves. Some are younger, dependent on the parents, and really reluctant to leave and be here still in August, trying to get mum and dad to feed them, look after them. So you get a real difference in each year, and depending on the birds. But generally speaking, in the late summer, autumn, the young birds will either drift away themselves, or the adults will push them out of the territory to fend for themselves, in the wider countryside, where they'll go out, start looking for their own territories, that hopefully in 2 years' time they'll settle down to breed. The main food supply for peregrines is pigeon-sized birds. They're the ones they'll take, but they are very adaptable. They'll take a whole range of bird species, mainly in flight. So there could be anything starling size, thrushes, blackbirds, anything up to wood pigeon size. Quite a lot of the birds will both from this country and the continent will go on to the estuaries in winter, so they'll hunt shorebirds, waders, or they might go into wetlands to hunt, duck, teal, mallard, something like that. So they've got a real wide range of different prey species. But it's really difficult for the young birds. There's often natural high mortality in their first, once they're kicked out and they're not being fed, it's really, you've got to learn to hunt quickly, otherwise, you won't make it. So naturally, mortality is quite high in the first year for peregrines as they learn these skills. It is difficult. Not every hunt's successful. It can take many times to actually catch something, but this is how nature works. It's the survival of the fittest. They'll make it through the winter into the next year.